Hello Game Monkeys and welcome to HearthStone Chronicles. My name is Rob and in today's episode we're going to be opening 60 packs. I purchased 60 packs and I want to run through them with you, see what we get, starting at the top and working clockwise. I'm going to go rapid fire and we'll just talk about what we get all along. Well, we get an epic right off the top. I get Snake Trap for the Hunter class. Very popular trap in that build. It's useful for deterring your opponents from attacking your guys. We get Light Spawn, Defender of Argus, Murloc Tidecaller, and Inner Rage. I already have plenty of Light Spawns, so that's going to be Dust, but Defender of Argus is certainly good for classes. Tidecaller not so much. Inner Rage is certainly used in the Warrior build. So let's move on to the next pack. Our next pack will be only one rare. Shadow Flame for the Warlock class, certainly a good board wipe for them. Naturalize is good for the Druid class. Argent and Squire, certainly well-rounded. You don't see Conceal very often. Raging Worgen makes it into warrior decks that like to attack you all in one go. So, decent pack for only having one rare. But we'll move on to the next one. Next, we will open up two epics and two rares. Wow, it's a really, really good pack. A second Snake Trap, that's awesome. Mind Games seems hit or miss, but could be interesting. You don't see it run very often, but could be fun at the very least. A Arcanist for the Mage, certainly good in secret-heavy decks, and Young Priestess to give random friendly minion +1 health. There's a similar imp that does it in the Warlock class, but that's for all classes, so that's interesting. On to our next pack. We've got Feral Spirit as our rare. Sense Demon is good for searching in your Warlock deck. Freeze Trap. Certain versions of the Hunter build will run Freeze Trap. I'm not a huge fan of it myself, as it's more defensive than offensive. Wind Fury Harpy is a all classes Wind Fury 4/5, and then Inner Rage is again part of that Raging Worgen combo for the Warrior class. So we'll move on to the next pack. Again, only one rare. So next up, we will get Keeper of the Grove, a staple card for the Druid class, used quite often. Cruel Taskmaster used quite often. Venture Company Mercenary, not so much. Mirror Entity from the Mage class, certainly used. And Paladins will often run Argent Protector. Decent little pack. Again, only one rare, so nothing amazing there. Moving on to our next pack, we will open up and get Explosive Trap and a Commanding Shout for the Warrior class as our rare. This is a card that I want to pick up, or wanted to pick up for the Grim Patron. I've seen some fun things done with this, and then you smack Grim Patrons around the board and they survive and of course spawn really, really big. So that's a nice little combo in Warrior. Some other good cards: Soul of the Forest, Loot Hoarder. You don't see Soul of the Forest all that often. I could see it used as a combo card. Moving on to our next pack, we'll get Freezing Trap again and Cold Light Oracle. I see Cold Light Oracle often in combo decks that are trying to get you to draw and trying to mill you out, so that's an interesting little ability there. I've already talked about Inner Light. Wrath is a staple card for the Druid class, either dealing 3 damage or damage and drawing a card, so that's solid. Loot Hoarder, again a solid little Death Rattle card. Don't see it played very often, not overly impressed with it, but it's fun. Next we will pick up a pack with an epic. We get Pyroblast for Mage and Perdition Blade for Rogue. You don't see Perdition Blade played very often. Certainly Pyroblast gets played every once in a while. Redemption is a secret for the Paladin. Is not terrible. It's good for cards like things with Divine Shield, like an Annoyatron, for example. Certainly not as good with things like Battle Cry, because it doesn't trigger Battle Cry, because that has to be played from your hand. So, starting at the top and going around, we get two commons. We get Sunwalker and Lightwell. As a Priest player, I have mixed feelings about Lightwell. I feel it's more of a trickster card used with Inner Fire than what you'd see in a standard Priest build that's more direct line, and of course it's not used in any of the priest builds that switch your healing to damage, so it only finds its niche in one of 3 types of priest builds. Sunwalker, solid card, seen a lot in paladin decks, but for all classes it can get the job done. So moving on, we get all sorts of goodies. We got a Felguard, a rare for the Warlock class. We get Blade Fury, a gold Blade Fury for Rogue, so that's a staple card of theirs. We get a gold Epic, the Sword of Justice for the Paladin class. That's going to come in handy if I ever build a Paladin deck. And then we do get a bit of a whiff. We get an Epic. Your other pirates have +1/+1. So apparently if you're going to build a pirate deck, you have to run that guy, but other than that, he's a 3/3 for 3 that powers up your pirates. So maybe pirates is a thing that I should look into. And then again, an Argent Protector. Again, not a terrible card, do like it, but good pack. At least a lot of good stuff. So moving on, we get just one rare again, but a gold common to get an Inner Rage in gold. Murloc Tidecaller. Again, Murlocs are a thing apparently. Whenever a Murloc is summoned, it gains +1 attack. Fairy Dragon's a nice solid little common. Underrun, in my opinion. It's a 3/2 for 3 that can't be shot off the board. You have to trade with it. So that's a good little guy. Harvest Golem is, of course, a pretty solid mech. I was surprised when I started opening packs that mechs appeared in the starter packs and not necessarily just Goblins and Gnomes. I thought that was a Goblins and Gnomes kind of exclusive concept. Moving on, we get Aldor Peacekeeper, and that's the rare for the packs, only one rare. We get Betrayal, Mark of Nature, Ice Barrier, and Freezing Trap. You'll see Ice Barrier run in mage-heavy secret decks, or secret-heavy mage decks. Mark of Nature, I didn't even know this card was a thing. Like, I just open up this pack and I'm like, oh, Mark of Nature? I never see it used, and it doesn't seem horrible. Like, it gives +4 attack or taunt and +4 health, so maybe use it as a finishing card, maybe it keeps you out of trouble if you're about to die. So, don't hate it. I'm amazed I've never ever seen it before. Moving on, we get another pirate. We get a Bane of Doom for the Warlock class, and a Wild Pyromancer for all classes. Bane of Doom is an interesting card. Again, it summons a random demon, not necessarily a random demon from your deck. So if you can finish something off, you might get something amazing, you might get something horrible. So typically very advanced players tend to avoid random effects because they would like the predictability. Unpredictability is not good. So, moving on, we will get Holy Fire as our rare. As a priest player, I certainly run Holy Fire. I typically was wavering between 1 or 2 in the deck. It is currently sitting at 1 in my priest deck. It's good for removing something with toughness of 5. So, Lotheb, Sylvanas Windwalker, all sorts of good stuff. Other than that, Cruel Taskmaster, Flame Imp's a staple for the Warlock class, another Pirate, and an Ice Lance. So, all in all, decent pack. I already have my quota of Holy Fires, but that's fine. We get a Void Terror off the top, a Unleash the Hounds, which is certainly a card run in the Hunter deck. We get Sorcerer's Apprentice, making our mage spells cost 1 less. Eviscerate, certainly a staple in the Rogue deck, and Rampage, again, is part of that chain combo that turns a Raging Worgen into just an absolute beast. So that's a decent pack there. We will move on to our next one. And how many packs in are we? We are 15 packs in, so a quarter of the way through. Still no legendaries, a couple of epics, but no legendaries. We get Vaporize, a secret for mage which destroys the minion that's attacking your hero. That's a good one. We came across Soul of the Forest earlier, but I didn't really talk about it. I don't hate this one, especially if you can like stack it twice, and certainly with like Baron, maybe you get a whole bunch of treants for free, essentially. An interesting concept. I might throw together a druid deck that does that. Eye for Eye, decent secret for Paladin. Don't see it run all that often. It's conditional. You're only gonna love it when it kills them instead of killing you, essentially. Alright, we get a golden rare. We get Secret Keeper for all classes. So for all classes that run secrets. So those 3 classes, in my opinion. Doom Guard. I guess you could run Secret Keeper against someone who's running secrets, but that's paranoia. Doomguard is a staple in the Warlock class, so I'm happy to pick up one of those. Charge, Battle Cry, discard 2 random cards. So the Weaponsmith sometimes makes an appearance in Warrior, and again that Priest Inner Fire is for tricksy players who like to do things like play, well, Shield Bearer, for example. Alright, pick up 2 epics in this pack. We get another Pyroblast, so that's 2 of those. And we get Force of Nature, which is, of course, a very popular card in the Druid class because it'll throw 6 attack down on the board instantly, and you can hopefully overrun your opponents in a lot of different situations. Scavenging Hyena is used in the Hunter build. Sometimes I've seen some players use it. I do like it myself. Eviscerate, of course, a staple for Rogue. And then Shield Bearer, which is silly, in my opinion. Annoyatron is significantly better. I just run Annoyatron. Alright, we get Master of Disguise as our rare, and given that that's not a rare that I come across very often, we're going to go with that's not a great pack. So we do get Deadly Shot. It's an interesting card for the Hunter build. Something's perhaps a bit slower than your overly aggressive Hunter builds, because the extremely aggressive Hunter builds don't typically care about your opponent's minions. Frost Elemental, meh. Battle Rage is a solid card for the Warrior class. You draw a card for each damaged minion, and of course you can set that up, and then Slam, another good Warrior card that you can draw a card off of. So that's a good draw for Warrior. Moving on. We get a Dust Devil. I get... the rares in this pack are less than amazing. I get an Angry Chicken and a Bloodsail Corsair. Now, Angry Chicken seems to be an interesting card. You obviously have to run it in something like the Priest class, where you can give it a higher defense or higher health so that it can be enraged. But as a Priest player, I don't think I would ever run Angry Chicken. Moving on. So we're 20 packs in, and we pick up a couple epics and a rare. Arcane Golem is, of course, in the Hunter decks quite often as a finisher because it does 4 damage with its charge, and if you're dead, we don't care about giving you an extra mana crystal. Ice Block, we got a gold epic, and that's a very nice spell in some certain mage decks that are running very secret heavy. And then Doomhammer, a Wind Fury weapon for the Shaman class, often used to go to the dome for quite a bit of damage. Blood Imp's not a bad card for Warlock, and we've talked about the Inner Fire for Priest. And that's an excellent pack. That's a very, very nice pack with many, many good things. Which, of course, means, well, okay, which of course means we get a pack with only one common, with only one rare next, and 4 commons. But Twilight Drake, if you're making a hand lock deck, from what I understand it being called, that's a staple. It's the Warlock deck where simply they keep drawing until turn 4, and on turn 4 they play Twilight Drake, and it comes down as a 4/9 typically, 4/9, 4/8, somewhere in there, depending if they've had to play anything or they deem to have played anything earlier. So simple little pack, but I do like the rare all in all. Moving on. Mark of Nature, we get a Mortal Strike. I'm not sold on Mortal Strike. It's it's a bad fireball, essentially. If you're dying, this is fireball, and if you're not dying, then it's not fireball, but whatever. Ironbeak Owl's a staple. The Stormforged Axe isn't terrible. There's the Raging Worgen. If you, again, enrage it, it gets Wind Fury, and the Warrior class will give it charge. Like, they'll play with the Raging Worgen, they'll give it charge, they'll shoot it, and make it just go absolutely insane very, very quickly. So, moving on, we get Demolisher as our rare, and I like Demolisher. I saw a player play it in a Priest build the other day, and I thought, well, that was interesting, but it was difficult to kill because it has 4 health. So he jammed it down on turn 2 with a coin, and I was having some hard times keeping up with it, so that was pretty cool. Again, we get Abusive Sergeant, which is an excellent in the Hunter class, and Wind Fury, meh. Not all overly impressed with the rest of the pack, but Demolisher is an interesting little card. Might be fun to move around with. There, we will pick up Blade Fury. Our rare in this pack is, again, a staple card for the Rogue class. We already have talked about Ardent Protector. Blessing of Wisdom is an interesting card for the Paladin class. It's an interesting form of card draw. You would almost want to pick a minion that has Wind Fury and that you know is going to attack twice. Like, that's the only way I see that card being extremely valuable. Or unless you're a glutton for punishment, you can throw it on one of your opponent's minions, and every time you get attacked by that minion, then you'll draw a card. So that's interesting. We get an epic right off the top, Blood Knight, and then we get another commanding shout, like I was talking about putting into the warrior deck, so that's good. I picked up a second one of those. I saw an opponent play Blood Knight on me the other day. I played an Anoyatron on my turn 2. On his turn 3, he proceeded to drop Blood Knight and turn him into a 6/6 on turn 3, and my Anoyatron was basically toast. And I thought, oh my god, this person hates Anoyatron. Like, this is a player who is running this card simply because he's seen entirely too many people play Anoyatron, and he's angry about it. But that's fine. We get another Twilight Drake, so that's awesome. So that's the second one of those if I ever want to build that deck. Again, an eye for an eye is not all that good. Temple Enforcer, I've seen certain priest players play Temple Enforcer. It's certainly good if you're running Light Spawn, for example, but given that it's a 6/6, I'm not thrilled with it because it makes Light Bomb less good. Power of the Wild is interesting. I've seen it played often in Druid decks. Almost never see them make the Panther. They just give their minions +1/+1 and kill you with it, essentially. Alright, moving on almost halfway through the stack of 60. I get another Snake Trap, so that's awesome. An Ancestral Spirit for Shaman, and then another Murloc. These cards are coming out pretty well. Explosive Trap and Snake Trap both in the same pack. It's almost as if this stack of cards wants me to build the Hunter deck. So, given that it's a good, solid, competitive deck, it would be a nice idea to run through the options and just kind of get a better sense of how that build is put together for when I face it. Though my Priest matchup has been pretty good against it. Alright, we have just one rare in this pack. Another Ethereal Arcanist. And again, if you're building a mage-heavy deck, that's fine. Summoning Portal is good, but not great. I see it in some of the bigger Warlock builds. I'm not a big huge fan. The Stranglehorn Tiger. Whenever I'm playing a Hunter build, I'll come across this every once in a while, but I'll realize, oh no, they're not actually running this. I killed the spider. I gave him a random beast, so that's what they picked up. Because who would run that? Alrighty. Third Twilight Drake. Yeah, don't need those anymore. Dark Iron Dwarf is one we haven't really talked about. It's a solid card. I mean, it's a 4/4 for 4. It's an Abusive Sergeant on steroids, so kind of hard to argue with because you get some damage early, and then you've got a 4/4 body left on the table that your opponent has to deal with. We get a gold. Oh, look at that! We get a gold common and a gold rare, and an epic. So that's awesome. And then an Armor Smith. So good all the way around. Armor Smith is, of course, excellent in the warrior build. That helps them build up their armor. Ancient of War is a excellent card for the druid class. If it had charge, if it was choose one, +5 attack and charge, or +5 health and taunt, it would be outside the world. But just having the taunt, meh, not nearly as impressed by it. The Auctioneer, I've seen it used mostly in rogue classes because they'll play a lot of spells quickly, but certainly anything you do with spare parts would make that guy amazing. So moving on to the next pack, we get an Abomination as our rare. I've never been a huge fan of this guy because I don't know how to abuse him. Like, he does what he does, which I guess is fine, but any player who's thinking through the problem can probably solve it, and he's not all that impressive. I'd rather be running a Sludge Belcher, personally. Demon Fire is a solid common for Warlock. It's either a 2 damage to your opponent's minion, or you pump up one of your guys and do more hit. Okay, well, this is a priest-heavy pack. We pick up another Lightwell and Mind Games, and again, as a priest, it's hit or miss, and I'd always be hesitant that I'd pick up something absolutely horrible. Venture Company Mercenary is not good. Youthful Brewmaster is decent. I can see it in some combo decks, but not altogether all that popular. Slam, of course, some solid cards with Warrior. Moving on to the next pack, we do get another Epic and another Armor Smith, so picked up the second one of those. The Gladiator's Longbow, of course, is not going to make it into any of the aggressive Hunter decks because you're not likely to be hopefully surviving on to turn 7. Maybe as a finisher card, but that's if you got it in your opening hand, you'd be so upset. Cruel Taskmaster, solid card for Warrior. Dust Devil you don't see played very often, but I can see that being a thing in Shaman. Like if you go first, you drop Dust Devil, and they don't have an answer, and then you go Rock Fighter Weapon, that's 12 damage. Alright, our next pack, we get an Explosive Shot for Hunter. Since it only hits minions, it's kind of a mini board wipe or area of effect spell for minions. I don't see the aggressive Hunter decks running this, so meh. But the Flame Imp is certainly a staple for Warlocks who don't care about hurting themselves. And again, another Power of the Wild, Silver Moon Guardian, meh. If you're running a deck that has a lot of Divine Shield, I guess. So, we are several packs in and have not hit a legendary yet. Mana Wraith, and 2 Unleash the Hunts and a Freezing Trap, Unleash the Hounds and a Freezing Trap, and a Cruel Taskmaster. So, I open up Mana Wrath and I look at it and I go, well, what if you try to build the deck around this? You'd have to figure out a way to make your guys cost less too, or you'd be really, really annoyed. Especially, I don't know, it's hard to see how to kind of do it. Alright, so, well, there's our legendary. There's our legendary Asara. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, but oh my goodness, that's amazing. So we're 37 packs in, and we pull Yasara, so that's awesome. We also get an Eldor Peacekeeper. Man, I've been hunting for Yasara for quite a while. That's going straight into my priest deck. Since Demon Wisp, yeah, whatever. But, alright, Yasara is pretty awesome. I've seen the Peacekeeper used to turn some pretty nasty things into pretty tame things, so that's solid. But I got a Yasara, so that is awesome. Have to move on, though. 23 packs to go. We will crack into a pack that won't be nearly as amazing as that last one, I'm sure. A second Demolisher, another Hyena, Priestess of Elune, seems to have been replaced by Antique Healbot in pretty much all facets. The Healbot is one cheaper. You get twice as much health back. You get a smaller body, but at less mana. The 3/3 is not why you're running the card. Okay, moving on. We get a pack with a pint-sized summoner. So this 2/2 makes the first minion you play cost 1 less. Okay, so that's how you combo it with the other one that makes all minions cost more. So I could see that maybe being a thing, but it seems a little clunky. Like, you'd have to come up with some really clever reason to run it. I'd be interested to see how it affects certain decks. Interesting. Maybe something to play around with later. Alrighty. And up next, we get an Injured Blade Master. This card is often run in priest decks because then they can heal them back up. And again, I've gone on this rant before, but I prefer the Imp Master in this slot better than the Injured Blade Master. Let's say you play the two side by side. This is going to be at 3 health. The Imp Master is going to be at 4 health, making it a little bit harder to kill, makes it stick to the table better. I just like the Imp Master a little bit better, in my opinion. You can go wide rather than tall. Alright, we get an Epic, we get another Blood Knight. I already told the story about that, and another Murloc. So, yeah. Again, a Pirate. I think that's my second Owl, maybe my third. But all in all, can't get any more Blood Knights, I don't think. Or at least, if I do, it'll be Dust Bait. So we will move on from this pack. And moving on, we will come to last 20 packs. We're down into the 20s. Almost done. Another Felguard. Okay. Silverhand Knight is interesting. It's again another one of those minions that spawn more minions, so you get a lot of board presence for that. But I'm sure, like the other ones, it runs into the same problem. You end up being vulnerable to board wipe spells. So Felguard's nice. Taunt, Battle Cry, destroy one of your mana crystals. So if you're running a small deck, a deck built around small things, maybe that's a solid card. And you have to be very careful with that. But again, you could run it with like a pint-sized summoner deck. You could run it into something that you know, you're going to be playing small stuff all the way around. So maybe that's a thing. Maybe you could build a Warlock deck with Jeeves, maybe, that just runs a whole bunch of small things. Yeah, you could do that. He has Taunt. Yeah. One of your defenders. So, moving on, we get a Soul Priest and the Circle of Healing for the combo with the Soul Priest. I, in my Priest build, often struggle to beat other Priests. It's an interesting problem, but what I found that my best option is, when they have the Soul Priest on the table, is to do my absolute best not to kill it. Once they're no longer in the healing business, I will throw a Power Word Shield on their Soul Priest if I need to keep it alive sometimes. Simply because if they can't re-heal, I can set things up then correctly to take things out. Alright, so 2 rares. Eagle Horn Bow for the Hunter class. That's pretty exciting. And then we have Holy Fire for the Priest class. Again, I have all the Holy Fires I need, so that's certainly dust bait. We got Redemption, Freezing Trap, Argent Squire. I've talked about all of those other ones. Eagle Horn Bow is just solid. It's a good opportunity to make smart plays in that Hunter deck, deciding when not to attack, essentially. When to attack, it forces a little bit of skill play to know when to finally crack that. Alright, moving on, we get another Secret Keeper. Again, if you're running Secret Keeper because you hate your opponents playing secrets, that's paranoia, sir, and I don't approve of it. So, that's interesting. Just occurred to me, Secret Keeper could be run in a Hunter deck, because it's a 1-drop, and then on turn 2, if you have secrets, certainly you'd have to run a little bit heavier secrets than normal, but hey, there's a Worgen Infiltrator. That guy's a solid card for the Hunter deck, and an Azure Drake that is a staple card, and then a Mirrored Entity and its Mirrored Entity. So another explosive trap for the Hunter class. Yeah, for one common, I like picking up an Azure Drake. That's a fairly staple card in a lot of different builds. So teens now. Got a gold rare, Emperor Cobra, and a second Blade Master. The Shaman Common Unbound Elemental is solid. Whenever you play an Overload card, you get +1/+1, so that can grow pretty quickly. It paints a target on its forehead when you're playing against someone else. It doesn't have too much opportunity to defend itself, for lack of a better word. Emperor Cobra 2/3 that basically has what Magic players would call Death Touch. I know, wrong product, but still, that's what we call it. We get another Felguard. We get another Circle of Healing, another a gold Redemption, and a Leper Gnome, and Venture Company Mercenary. I almost wish that there was a way you could donate a minion, like get that Venture Company minion and slide it across the table to your opponent and be like, here, you deal with this. Got another Epic, got another Force of Nature, so that's cool, and another Commanding Shout. I think that's my 3rd one, so I'll sure be turning that into dust. Spellbreaker, certainly interesting debate between Spellbreaker and the Owl. Twice the mana, twice the attack, 3 times the health. So maybe, depending on how, I guess you pick which one you run based on how quickly your deck's going to be run. Alright, moving on, we get a Mind Control tech as our only rare. I always thought this was a Priest-only card, because I always see it in Priest builds. He's an interesting little card. He certainly can take back some control. If you hit the lucky card 1 out of 4, or at least, you'll be good to go. So very happy about that. That guy's pretty cool. Earth Shock from the Shaman class, silencing minions and dealing damage to them, so that's cool. Moving on, we get a Mortal Strike as our rare, and like I stated earlier, I think this is just a very bad Lightning Bolt. Not Lightning Bolt, Fireball. Very bad Fireball. Fen Creeper. Fen Creeper was actually in one of my early decks because I saw it as a very big taunt creature and liked it. But then I found Sludge Belcher and said, no, that's much better. Okay, Misdirection and another Pint-Sized Summoner, so too many of those, so that's going to be Dust Bait. Misdirection's an interesting card in the Hunter deck. Like, maybe if you're running a bigger, more control-y Hunter deck, then fine, but I find it interesting that so you're going to be running Explosive Trap, obviously. Misdirection kind of gets in the way of that because it'll attack something else and then it'll explode, so it's entirely possible that it'll explode before it hits the other thing on their side of the board. So it kind of has non-synergy with Explosive Trap, and Explosive Trap's more important. Hey! Knife Juggler. That's awesome. Certainly used in the Hunter class, certainly used in the Paladin class where you're constantly making minions. I have always severely disliked Knife Juggler as a priest player. I'd drop my cleric on turn 1, they'd drop a Knife Juggler on turn 2, and I'd go, well, I'm going to lose this encounter until I can get a Shadow Word Pain or a Holy Smite, which is why now I don't play my cleric unless I have one of those cards backing it up. Okay, so for this pack we get another Cold Light Oracle. Hey, Acolyte of Pain. I'm a big fan of Acolyte of Pain. He has worked out in just about every deck I've put him into. I can't foresee a reason why someone wouldn't run Acolyte of Pain unless they really can't find a spot for it. Get Vaporize, another rare for secrets for mages. And I've talked about just about all these other ones, so we'll move on kind of quickly on this pack. Here in the standard. Down to our last 5. So we're almost through all the cards. So I'm sure I'm just going to see a lot of repeats. There's another Arcane Golem, Black Iron Dwarf. Yeah, we've seen all of these things before. I wonder, I'm not positive, is giving your opponent a mana crystal similar to casting mana Wild Growth on turn 10? I don't know. Another epic in this pack, Doomsayer. I've seen it used to most effect when you freeze your opponent's side of the board first. So I've seen that in the Mage class. Earthen Ring Farseer is a standard or a staple card in a lot of different decks that can't heal themselves. You don't have to heal yourself. You can heal a minion of yours. Light Warden says all classes. Light Warden, man, I wanted it to be good as a priest player, but it just didn't have a big enough health to make it worth it. So there's another Arcane Golem, so that's going to be Dust Bait. 2 Loot Hoarders, again, not huge fans of those. I think Wrath is a very, very solid card. Lightning Bolt is a staple card for the Shaman class, so not too much to talk about here, so we'll just move on. And last pack. Last pack is going to be Siphon Soul as the rare, which is going to be the a good card for Warlocks. It's 6 mana, but it does just straight up rip up a minion and give you 3 health back. Cold Blood is an interesting rogue combo card. Typically you see the effect that gives the bonus to your weapon also. But anyway, that's been the packs. I've been Rob, you've been great, and thanks for watching.